So here we are, interview number 2. Good afternoon.
You can edit all this out, so we can just have a discussion. How do you feel about this format as opposed to the side-by-side format like Tim Newton and Steve do in Grouchy Old Men?
I have to find out. I know real professionals use 2 cameras, one on each.
Mm-hmm. And yet Tim Newton owns his space and he only uses 1 camera.
Yeah.
So really it's, I'm going to make a pitch to you about your brand and not copying anyone else. And I'm preaching to myself at the same time. Okay.
I hear you have a new project. You want to talk about it?
Yes, but I never approach anything directly, Wolfgang. We have to come at it sideways with the unrelated stories and narratives. We have to warm up to the subject. All right. So, let's tell a story about Da Nang, a place that I think is close to both of our hearts.
What's cooking in Da Nang?
All right. People in the wider world only know Da Nang from the Vietnam War. And even then, only a minority of people even recognize that word. To foreigners in Asia, they do know about Da Nang. And I think they perceive Da Nang as being a nice place that's cheap. To people in Vietnam, foreigners, they think of Da Nang as being the best cheap city in the world.
Okay.
To people who live in Da Nang, like you and me, I think a lot of us are increasingly perceiving Da Nang as not the cheapest city in the world at its price point, but the nicest city in the world, period.
Yeah.
And yet, this place is priced like a third world hellhole in Zaire or the Republic of the Congo.
Which it is not.
Which it is most definitely not.
Was it you telling me that 8 years ago this was a village? There was nothing here, especially the infrastructure for tourists, for Western tourists?
No, I heard all that from you.
Somebody told me, because I'm here first time as well.
Mm-hmm.
For 6 weeks now.
Yes. So I have come to desire to live in Da Nang, and not just Da Nang, but this neighborhood. And not just this neighborhood, but this building where we're sat down right now talking. Unfortunately, the room that I'm now in for the next 3 months, they have reserved for someone else after that point.
You see, they're booked out for a long time.
Mm-hmm. But I don't want someone else to have my room. We were talking about Howard Hughes and how he lived in the penthouse of the MGM in Las Vegas for the last 25 years of his life. That is what I desire to do in this building.
Okay.
I have not yet persuaded management to cooperate with that goal.
You have to learn Korean then.
Our managers are Korean?
Not the managers, the owners. Don't talk to the managers, talk to the owners. Make them an
Well,
offer
except
they
that
can.
the owner rents this building to the managers wholesale. The managers make their profit by then releasing to the guests retail.
Then who is the manager?
The manager is Hannah and her husband.
Right?
So,
That's the person you speak to.
we talked about Da Nang being the nicest city in the world, and yet it's priced as mediocre or less. This leads me to believe that just what happened to Bali in the last 5 years is about to happen in Da Nang. I believe that prices, especially for housing in Da Nang, are going to explode upward in the next 5 years.
Maybe even
You and I
sooner.
are enjoying at this moment a ridiculous bargain. We are receiving tremendous value, and yet it's cheap. I don't see how it can last.
Do you use the pool upstairs?
No.
If it weren't that this place is also very quiet, then you could easily move into the apartment that I just been 1 month at 9 million. The bigger space and a smaller room even cheaper, which has everything, pretty much everything this house has, just not a pool.
I don't care about the pool.
If you don't care about pool, but if you care about the silence you have from having this huge space there, then it's still, and still this house has a better offer.
Something I like about talking with you, Wolfgang, is that if you just tell me what I want to hear, which is how people in Asia do it, then there's no point in us having a conversation. I need to hear something from you which challenges my existing story. This is the value in having this conversation. So let's go a little bit further with this apartment idea. One of the reasons why I like this building is that I think it's a bit maybe offensive to use the terminology that I am on the spectrum, because it's disrespectful towards people that are diagnosed autistic. But there's sort of a pop culture understanding that engineers like myself are kind of at the edge of being on the spectrum.
There is a term for that. Autism is full blown, and then Asperger is autism light.
Yes, and even further evolved from that version, and this is a quickly developing category, is socially awkward people like myself. And a lot of the strategies you see are people trying to normalize, to function as though they were normal people.
You're forced to.
And I think there's value in it. There's value in being able presenting yourself as average. Something that I am growing into is not to try so hard in that direction. To give you an example of why this building works for me is I've been very focused on a project. Very focused. And in order to function as a polite member of society, it helps me a lot to have hotel staff that sort of make things easy for me. They take care of some of the day-to-day common sense life maintenance issues so that I don't have to. Then I can maintain focus on my work, and they can kind of hold my hand a little bit on social issues to where I don't have to split up my efforts so much. Does this make sense?
Yeah, I want to ask you from our audience that what does the stuff here has that other receptionists don't?
Part of it is this space that we're sitting in. This is one of the nicest co-working spaces in Da Nang, and it's right here in my building. I come down the elevator, boom, I'm at work.
Comfy seats, aircon.
There's very soft jazz music playing, which I don't think will violate your YouTube copyright
It did
strikes.
the last time in
All right.
our first interview.
So we talked about the building. What appeals to me about your proposition is that I need a big space. I need some square meters. And I need a long-term lease.
Long-term leasing, where I've been, not a problem at all. The guy loves guys that stays longer. I haven't seen your one. I had the two-room apartment when I was here with my daughter. It's just I'm missing the pool. If I'm shelling out a hell of a lot of money for a place like this, I think this place here is something like $30 a day, $35 a day, if you have it on a daily basis.
Yes.
You get a deal on a monthly basis. They
Right.
do have a monthly, which is a little bit more digestible. What was it, 17 million dong?
More or less, yes.
Which turns out to be...
That's for a one-bedroom, though. That's a bigger space than what you have.
Right. So, smaller than me.
No, you were in a studio. I'm in a one-bedroom.
I had the living room and the bedroom.
Separate?
Yeah.
Okay, then we had similar units.
That is 17, which translate into like $600 a month,
A bit more.
650,
Close enough.
right? If you come fresh from the US, you say, oh, what a bargain. I can stay in a hotel at a third of the price what I pay for a dingy apartment in Las Vegas or whatever.
That's true, but to be clear for your audience, this is quite expensive by Da Nang standards.
Which is why I
For
moved
now,
out.
for this year.
Right.
I'm not too sure about next year, but for this year it's expensive.
That's why I moved out. And my next place was 9 million, which translates into something like 350 a month. It had everything, almost everything that this place has, only that it was more difficult to communicate with staff.
All right?
There was the secretary there spoke some English. Everybody else I had to use a mechanical device for translation. Like an app on my phone.
For me, that's not an issue. Shall I explain why?
Because you have a cell phone with a translator?
No, that's a rookie level solution. Now we're coming around to our topic.
There we go.
20 minutes in. I have a somewhat modest project that I would like to expand on a little bit. You saw a little taste of it a day or two ago with your friend Alex.
Right.
Okay. My modest project is to reinvent the way that English is taught to Vietnamese students and adult learners in a way that elevates the experience by an order of magnitude. And as soon as I publish my very first YouTube, it will instantly obsolete everyone that came before me. Everyone else that is working in this space will throw up their hands in despair and go get a day job because they will realize my business model has just been nuked by what Tim is producing. And so the solution to your reception issue or your question, your concern, is I will just use my system to teach them English.
And in 2 years,
Intuitively, easily, effortlessly, to where it's fun, and they learn like a child.
and in
There's
2
no
years,
work or effort even required.
every
One
Vietnamese-
video, Wolfgang, one video, 5 minutes watching my video, and they will be able to speak English with native fluency and without even trying.
Would that be great? In 2 years, every Vietnamese speaks fluent English. No more language barrier.
Yes,
That'd be
yes.
nice.
We have an expression in America, if you're going to be a bear, be a grizzly.
Don't be a teddy bear.
So, I I have two problems. One, I like to sleep indoors. I think that sleeping indoors is a foundation of having a productive life. If you're currently sleeping outdoors, there's no shame in that. We've all had our challenges in life, but sleeping indoors does a lot for you. That is my current.
I would second that.
Yeah. So that's my current logistical hurdle. How can I sleep indoors?
What are your options? You can stay here. You can move to any other rental place of which there's 1,200,000 in Da Nang.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could buy a condo or a house. You can either rent or you can buy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, there's a third option. You could build something. You could get a lease on a piece of land and then build something yourself. That's the three options.
What would you recommend?
Renting.
Why?
Because you're a foreigner, to own something in the Socialist Republic of Vietnam might turn out to be not impossible. On YouTube there is a Vietnamese American lawyer based in Ho Chi Minh. He promises to smooth all the problems out of your way when you want to buy. So contact him, ask him what's the process, how much. And if you're right, if prices in Vietnam explode within the next 5 years, then you're on the safe side. The down part is that this country doesn't like you to expatriate cash.
Mm-hmm.
If somewhere down the line in 10 years or whatever, you want to leave, you sell your property, you have a big wad of cash, to get that out of the country, I don't know. Again, there's the lawyer to assist you.
Right. So the housing issue is a secondary topic, but one where you've done a great deal of research, and I can benefit from your knowledge. What I think is more interesting to me is our YouTube channels.
All right. I will definitely put a link as soon as you have yours. Let my audience know that there is a way, an easier way and a better way to learn English.
That's good, I like that. But I'm considering a more direct way to plug you into my
Let me hear
new
it.
system. People in Vietnam that learn English are usually doing so to interact with the foreigner, visitor, and expat community. The English schools seek out people like myself, native English speakers that have a neutral West Coast, preferably California, and preferably Los Angeles accent, which I have.
Lucky you.
Yeah, maybe, because it does get me attention from the industry. But strategically, and in my system, I think it's a mistake. And here's why. The purpose of learning, there's two purposes to learning English, and two sort of very important categories. One category is that English in Vietnam is taught English in Vietnam is taught not with the purpose of becoming conversational, but for the purpose of getting a high score on the IELTS, the IELTS exam. The IELTS exam is so important in Vietnam that students from grade school upward are hyper-focused on the purpose of my life is to get a high score on the IELTS exam, because that opens up premium universities in Vietnam, universities abroad in the United States, in the UK, in Germany, in Canada, and Australia. Access to premium corporate employers in Vietnam, such as the Hilton hotel chain, or IT corporations that outsource Vietnamese expertise to international audiences.
But it doesn't teach you English.
Yes, it does not teach you English.
That's the point.
People that are hyper-focused on the IELTS and have been for 10 years and score highly on the IELTS, they talk like a robot operating a typewriter.
And very narrow.
It's very narrow. It's very technically correct. It is technically perfect. It is grammatically perfect.
I'll give you an example. The Vietnamese know what is your name. My name is, because this is the ILS studies. If you say, how do you call yourself? You're totally off the rocker. They have no idea what you're talking about.
Yes, because they have memorized the question and they have memorized the answer, which gets them a high score on the exam. It does not help you at all to communicate.
Right.
So you understand what I'm saying.
So the poor Vietnamese will need both. He will need the high scores to show a prospective employer, look, I have a high score. But that doesn't make him a good speaker and understander of English. And this is what you say you come into the game.
Correct. The other aspect is, you're aware of the culture of British and French colonial education, where the method of instruction is geared towards the most mechanical, formal, structured, defined list of inputs and outputs, like a computer program, very similar to the way you describe the IELTS. This comes from the 1850s, and the classic British education system is famous for this. How do we take all the fun out of education? How do we reward hard work only and have places zero value on fun, understanding, enjoyment, community, collaboration?
You remind me of my music education in my school.
100%. 100%. I was taught music in the 1960s as a small child, as taking a written sheet with notes on it. And the way that I become a good musician is to replicate those notes on the piano exactly. If I'm a good musician, it means that I replicate those notes with 100% accuracy. If I make a mistake, da, 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 now I've made a mistake and I'm a bad musician. Now a jazz musician, he'll make a bad note, da, 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 da. And what does he do? He doubles down on that note. He takes the mistake and rips off of it. That's how jazz works and why people love jazz. That is not how I was taught music. So I want to take that structured, work ethic based system of learning and do the exact opposite in every respect.
Bring the fun back into it.
Yes. And we now know a great deal about how people learn. And when it comes to language, there's this misconception that children learn language because of some inherent attribute of their brain. This is a little bit true, in that when you hear sounds as a child, you can now recognize those sounds. You can now recognize those sounds as an adult. That part is true. But for the most part, children learn language by listening in context. They hear the sounds, they hear the words, they see what you're doing when you say those words. they smell, they feel, they emote. So the words have a great deal of meaning and context. My system that I'm inventing will try to engage the learner, the student, emotionally, taking a compelling story and then absorbing that story in an engaging way. And then we're going to take the same story and tell it in a completely different way. The same story, but a different experience. Because they already know the story. Now they already know where we're going with this experience. And then we will create yet another very different experience with that same story again. So you have familiarity and certainty, and then we have uncertainty and surprise and novelty and discovery that we are employing to learn the words from the story.
Broaden their minds.
Yes.
You are aware that you're going against Asian tradition of doing things in a certain way and only in that way and in a narrow path. You want a 6-lane highway where these people are walking on a narrow path.
I have a solution to this. I do not intend to compete for preparation for the IELTS. I intend to stay out of that space altogether and let the existing infrastructure of IELTS instructors continue to do what they have perfected for a long time. And in fact, I already collaborate with Jenny, who is, in my opinion, the highest level IELTS instructor in the name. She and I are very different in our approach, and yet when we co-teach in her classroom, I'm volunteering. There's no payment involved at all, just volunteering. The classroom loves it. It loves it. She has the intensity and the energy and the understanding of what the IELTS is looking for, and the students like my open-endedness and collaboration and drawing out their creativity. At our discussion last night in class, I proposed a story where I didn't let my children, when they went to university, I did not let them take art, music, Russian literature, philosophy. They wanted to take those things, and I said, no. You can use an ING. You can take an ING degree. Any degree that ends with ing, ING, they can take. Engineering, accounting, teaching, nursing. Because you cannot make money in music, art, and Russian literature.
You know the famous word.
What's that?
The whatever you get when you enter, you study law, and they offer you a partnership after a while. You enter engineering, they might offer you some perks, a car maybe if you enter a dealership as a salesman. What if you study fine arts? You want fries with that?
Yes. So I presented this worldview to the class. And they're all, oh yeah, okay, yes, my parents. There was one kid, the class clown, and I liked this guy a lot. He was just going like this. No. This foreigner is wrong. And so I said, sir, I believe you have an opinion. And damn it, he stood up for himself and said, you should take music and Russian literature and philosophy, and here's why. And he presented a very compelling case why those degrees are superior to STEM-based math, science, engineering, and technology degrees. And the class was just fascinated by this back and forth. And Jenny, who's just voodoo, she's a voodoo level business person and instructor. She is loving this, and just her energy and intention. She's taken the whiteboard and just riffing off what we're doing with formalized instruction that the kids can use to crush the IELTS exam. So my model is to not compete with the IELTS instructor in that industry, but to collaborate. They do their thing, I do my thing, and we make each other stronger. What do you think?
Sounds fantastic.
Well, that's all I got to say, Wolfgang. I thank you for listening to my grandiose plans to dominate the world of Vietnamese
Can't
English
wait to
instruction.
see your channel and give it to my audience.
Likewise, I see your channel every day. The production value goes up, and your learning curve, it's so obvious that you are. Do you know that the American TV series NCIS?
Yeah, sure.
The catchphrase is when they're discussing whether they should try a certain strategy, is the boss says, only one way to find out, and that's what you are doing. You try something and see how your audience perceives it.
73 subscribers in 6 weeks. Come on.
Yeah, so more than one a day. It took me 10 years to get to 30 subscribers, so.
Well, I'm pushing it. I'm shamelessly promoting everybody I meet.
That's how you do it.
Yeah, whip out your phone, go to my channel, subscribe.
I love it, Wolfgang.
I'm having fun with it.
All right.
See how I get 4,000 hours of view time. Today I'm putting out another one. I made early morning, 6 o'clock on the beach.
Your Tai Chi?
Actually, it's a Qigong, Chinese form of Tai Chi. It's another hour long. If you want to watch it, just let it run. Meditate to it if you want.
Yes. Yes, I like this business model. I just let it run in the background, and I soak up the magic by osmosis.
Say, we'll leave it at that for number 2, and number 3 is coming somewhere when you open up your channel.
Or even before that. My channel is going to, I think Hemingway, the author, described bankruptcy as bankruptcy happens very gradually and then suddenly. I think that's the way my channel is going to operate. Right now I'm doing a lot of work and I have 0 results, but it's okay. It's part of the process.
You have to start somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for the conversation, Wolfgang. I always feel elevated when we collaborate.
I'm really delighted with your project. I hope it's taking off. Right? I want to see it grow.
I have a lot of smart, energetic, creative people in my corner. I don't see how it can not succeed.
All right.
All right.
Interview number 3, we'll know more.
Excellent.
Okay.